right. Well, welcome, neighbors. It's 7:02, and welcome to the meeting of the Chosewood Park Neighborhood Association. I'm Ryan Clancy. I'm going to be your president and chairman for this evening. Whether you're joining us from your kitchen table, your garage, or from your tree house, we're glad that you're here. Just some quick housekeeping so we can get on to the really fun parts of the meeting. We do use Robert's Rules of Order. It just helps us keep the flow of the meeting going and make sure everybody gets a chance to chime in and make sure we're all respectful in an orderly fashion. There are a couple of formalities in the beginning of the meeting and at the end, but please, do feel free to, chime in if you have something thoughtful to say. The way we do that is we use the raise hand feature. So raise your hand, I'll go ahead and call on you, and then you can kind of say what you need to say and add your comments or questions, and then we'll do it that way just to keep everything nice and orderly. If you do have any documents or links to share with us, you can put them into our chat. We do collect them and save them in our repository for later. Also, there are a lot of times where somebody on either our Facebook page or just somebody who's heard that we've had this meeting and couldn't attend will reach out to me and ask for documents. So it's very often that at least once a month, I get somebody who couldn't attend and they're asking for something that we talked about, and it's really great to be able to hand them something after the fact. Let's see, if you're a government official, city department representative, or hear from someone to speak to us or present to us today, if you could put your contact information into the chat for us, that would be awesome. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, the first thing we need to do is go ahead and take a look at our agenda. Okay, so let me just give you a little overview real quick because we do have actually quite a few. It doesn't look like a lot, but we actually do have quite a few things to go over tonight. We're going to take a look at our agenda, go over our meeting minutes. We'll get to our public safety officer right after that. We'll check in with our elected officials if we have anyone there who can speak with us. We don't have any presentations that are formal presentations today, but we do have some of these other items that will be presentee-like. We have some treasurer reports. Christina provided those that we'll be able to go over. We then will have our committee reports. So I think Chosewood Park CDC will have something to say, as well as the Transportation Committee. If I have somebody from Friends of Chosewood Park, if you could raise your hand or put your info in the chat, that would be helpful. That way we know you're here to call on you when it's your turn. We will have a matter of voting tonight. So there is a letter of support for 140 Milton Avenue Southeast. I'll kind of show you where that is, and then I'll turn it over to Cassius Coleman or his representative to talk to us a little bit about that, and we'll get more to that when we get to that item. And then we have a couple closing items, just statements, community announcements at the end here. So we do have kind of a full evening for you. Let me show you the bottom here. So this is our agenda. Let's see, I motion to approve this agenda. Can I get a second?
I'll second. This is Julie.
Thank you, Julie. Awesome. All right, so the next thing would be our meeting minutes. So let me show these to you. This is from our July meeting. By the way, when I do send this out, this is a link, so you can check out the meeting minutes before you get here. Obviously, as I'm scrolling through this, you're not going to be able to, read this as I'm totally scrolling through it, but this is just to give you an idea of roughly what we collected, really just like the highlights from our discussion. Just as a reminder, Patrick Hand spoke to us about the Unity Bridge and the park improvements. It was, he really went into a lot of detail. So if that project interests you, I know for some people in our community, this is a real passion project for them. Definitely recommend that meeting is out on YouTube. You can go watch Patrick kind of describe all of this stuff or read the minutes if you want a summary as well. So it was really great to hear from him. And we're always glad when he or someone from that project team can join. All right, and there wasn't much else there. So these were our meeting minutes. I motion to approve the meeting minutes. Can I get a second? Nobody?
I'll second you again. I had to
Awesome.
unmute.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for not leaving me hanging. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get into our public safety officer report. Is our public safety officer here? Have they joined us today? Someone from Zone 3?
Yes, I'm on. See, I'm trying to get everything turned on here. All right. So good evening, everyone. I am Sergeant Sutton with Inland Police Zone 3. I'm going to talk to you very quickly about the public safety report. For the last 30 days for Chosewood Park, we have a total of 15 Part 1 offenses. We are down for the year 18%. For the 30-day period, we are up 80%. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but three of those that have spiked that number is because you've gone from one ag assault last year in this 30-day period to three in this particular one. Two of them were domestic incidents in two separate locations, boyfriend, girlfriends, and one was a road rage incident. No actual shots fired with the road rage, but someone did point a firearm. So that does cause the numbers to increase. But that's not something that's necessarily in the public space of the community. That's things that have happened indoors. You have had one burglary that was reported in the 1200 block of Grant Street. In that particular case, the resident was away, returned, said that two of their basement doors were pried open and items taken. But the resident did replace or repair both doors prior to calling police. So, of course, we weren't able to collect any fingerprints or get any evidentiary value out of that. You had one motor vehicle theft that was in the 1300 block of Galt Street. In that particular case, the wife went out to get some items from the vehicle at night. We believe she dropped the key on the ground by mistake because they cannot locate their key. Hence, the vehicle is missing. And you have one theft from a vehicle, which was at 430 Inglewood Avenue. That's apartments over there. There was a Ford F-250 that had the rear window shattered and a SD card, basically a little electronic device, was taken from there. So that has been basically the extent of the activity that's been in the area. So it's, even though the number saying 80% up sounds like a lot, it isn't based on what it is when you read into it. Does anyone have any questions they have of me? I see Julie has her hand raised.
Yeah, well, thanks for showing up to the meeting and the report. I was gonna say we've been having a lot of people speeding back into speeding and running the stop signs on Hill Street at like really high speeds, passing cars at the intersect or at the stop sign on the left. Is there a way that if you guys get a chance to come out and just randomly patrol the stop signs again and maybe try and get some of these speeders? We had it happen a couple years ago. It was kind of nice.
We could definitely check that out. What is the cross street with Hill Street on there? So I
I
can
would
make sure.
say Hill and Nolan, if you're heading north from McDonough, it's the first stop sign because they're going downhill is Hill and Nolan, and the second one is Dalton. So it's between the Beltline and McDonough is really where they get most of the speed, heading north and south.
Okay, I'll definitely pass that information on.
Great.
That way
Thank you.
we can work on that.
That's it. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions or concerns?
If it's a gray Honda Passport, maybe don't stop that guy. Like he's
Kind of relax
probably
on that one.
fine. Yeah, he's okay. Don't worry about that guy, but the other ones for sure. Do you
Gotcha.
have any other questions for Sergeant Sutton?
Right, I'll make sure not to have you, but unless you're going 80 miles an hour.
No, never.
No, because these cars are flying. Like, it's pretty cool. I'd like to get a gun and see how fast they go sometimes. It's true. I thought about getting one from a prop house just to see.
Any more questions for Sergeant Sutton before we let him get on with his evening? All right, I don't see any hands raised and nobody is unmuting. So thank you so much, Sergeant Sutton, for being here. We really appreciate you being here. You're more than welcome to stick around, but I know you have important things to do as well. So thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, moving on in our agenda, we have comments from elected officials. I don't see, there's no elected officials who put their information in our chat, but I just want to check and see if there's any elected officials here to speak with us tonight. Okay, so I do have a couple questions that are outstanding for our elected officials. One of them is concerning, it was a question that came in via Facebook. One of them is around where the Beltline intersects with Boulevard. The sidewalk there is not completed. And my outstanding question to them is that still part of the sidewalk that needs to be completed? Because when they were here speaking to us, I believe it was, or the update they gave us, they weren't here speaking, but they gave us a written update. They said they were 85% completed with the sidewalk restoration. I just want to make sure that other 15% includes that little piece right by the belt line. I'm sure it does, but I want to confirm with them. That's an outstanding question. They haven't gotten back to me on that. The second one is about Englewood North. So I've asked for if they can come and give us a presentation. I'm believing our September 14th meeting, someone from Councilman Winston's office will be able to either provide that presentation or provide some more information around what's going on there with Englewood North for us to talk about that as a community. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. I think September 14th is a pretty good target to be able to get that for you.
Um, I,
Yeah, Paul, go for it.
I'm sorry, I can't get my hand raised here. All
That's
right,
okay.
here we
Go for it, Paul.
now. I just don't think we should just have a meeting with Winston. We got to have someone from Atlanta Housing here.
Yeah, so
Um,
so like I was
and
saying, either someone from his office or whoever he points us to, whatever
well,
his
no, I mean,
representative is that
we need
he.
them both here. We need them both seriously taking this issue seriously. Okay, it is totally uncalled for to have two public housing projects on the same street, practically next to each other. And I don't know exactly how to do it, but I believe we could sue them for doing it. Of course, you got to get a lawyer that's motivated, which would be hard to do. You got to pay him. So I don't know how likely that is. But I do have some court cases where um, dumping uh, affordable housing in too concentrated a form is against HUD guidelines. Now, whether our situation qualifies for that, that's another question. But they definitely have guidelines that say we're not you are not allowed to put too much affordable housing in one place. And there are documented cases on that.
Okay, Paul. So
So
here's what we'll do. I'll make sure that someone from Atlanta Housing is here too. So yeah, we'll make sure all the appropriate people are here. Okay.
Ryan, if I can say something.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah, so I think the point, we're dealing with ideology here. A lot of these younger urban planners have been in school that really believe in trying to make the city more walkable, more human, more fair. What happens is that they also distort the idea. I've had urban planning background. Um, they believe that getting people off the street and putting them all south of 20 because that's where they have available land and nobody in Buckhead's going to let them do it to do their that at least they're getting people off the land. But people who are buying in 20 under south of 20 because it's more affordable to them, that's the way you build generational wealth. That's how they can pass it on to their children and they can catch up with people who have had a privilege from family wealth to at least be middle class. Well, what they're not realizing is if you jam all these people in one area, their value in their house goes to hell and they can't build generational wealth. And so we're discriminating twice. So that's the one thing they have to understand. The other thing is about parking. Well, it's got to be walkable. So we can't do parking. Well, people have to earn a living. And I don't think everybody south of 20 can get a job at Starbucks and feed a family. So again, we're discriminating. So we need people to bring that up. Everybody's well meaning, everybody wants to help everybody, but you got to balance it so that you don't end up discriminating twice. So that's my point on that. And thank you for letting me speak.
Of course. Yeah, all fair points. Let me just make sure we get the right people in the room. And it sounds like there's a lot of really thoughtful ideas around this. So let me make sure that we block off enough time as well to have some thoughtful discussion. So we'll try to just keep the agenda kind of slimmer that night, just to make sure that we have plenty of time to talk about this, because I don't want to have to move us on just for the sake of time. So for sure. Yeah, all
Thank
great.
you.
Of course. Yeah, all great thoughts. And I want the right ears to hear those thoughts, for sure. Our ears are important too, but I want, Councilman Winston and all that to hear what our thoughts are collectively as well. So, and if you have different thoughts, I'd love to hear those too when the time comes when we when we have Atlanta Housing and Councilman Winston here. I'd love for everybody to be able to speak up, even if you have a counterpoint, for sure. So, as long as we're respectful, which I think we have been. So, all right. So no elected officials. Let's go ahead and move on. We don't have any presentations tonight. So let's move on to our treasurer report. Christina, did you want me to do this part, or were you going to do it? I think I did see you here. I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and do it. So we do have, Christina did provide me with some of um, our financial reports. So these are, directly from our bank. Honestly, guys, they're a little bit boring. So we do get a little bit of a dividend here. That's kind of the most exciting thing here. We do earn a little bit of interest every year. This is our May report. I'm going to show you May. I'm going to show you June, and I'm going to show you July. So here's June. All right, you see again, we earned a little bit of interest. Our account went up a little bit more. And then I wish I had something kind of spicy to show you here. I wish, somebody bought FIFA tickets or something out of here, but it's not the case. So again, this is the July report. So same thing. Our balance moved up a little bit from interest, but that's really it. There has not been any withdrawals. So, all right. So this was for May, June, and July. Thank you, Christina, for providing those. All right, and we'll try to do those every 3 months or so. As you can see, they're not very interesting, so we'll just kind of go over those as there's interest, and as we every quarter or so we'll review those. All right, now we want to get into our committee reports. I'm going to turn it over to Paul from Chosewood Park CDC.
Hello, everybody. I got some good news to report. I was able to get the Lakewood uh, uh, Finance Committee grant of $2,500. So this would be an opportunity to exercise our financial reports, because the next time we look at when we're going to see a deposit of $2,500 in there. Second thing is I have a letter from Patrick Hand, and he's on the last stages of putting in his building, getting his building permits, and he says that he will be able to start work on August 21st, 2026. So that's in 10 more days. Now, one of my chief duties as Chosewood Park CDC president is keeping a liaisons between the city, the state, and the contractor on our INODIC grant of $1 million. We were luckily able to get that, taken off the trash heap and imagined. And at the time Patrick starts work on 8/21/26, we should be able, he will generate an invoice, which I, along with the city, will submit to to the state to get reimbursement. Finally, Chosewood Park CDC will have its second quarter meeting. Since I was doing all this other stuff, I didn't get a second quarter meeting on schedule, but we'll be having it the last week in August. And Ryan's already indicated he'll be there. Simon has indicated. I see Christina is here. I hope she's planning on being there. And other people. The main issues will be the finalization of the bylaws, and that's basically it. I mean, they're really final. We thought that Nicole would add something, but as you know, Nicole has gone on to other things that's not necessarily available. So we really just have to get together and vote, and that will be done. Okay, that's my report.
Thank you, Paul. Do we have any questions for Paul?
Oh, I was wondering, I was talking to Chan Pai uh, at the MPY neighborhood night out event, which was pretty good. And she was talking about doing a block party. Does anyone have any ideas about a block party? Now, we do have porch parties, Chan. So if you want to host something at your beautiful house on Grant Street, um, uh, the CDC will pay you a couple $100. So there's an idea as well.
Hey, Chan, I see your hand is raised. Go for it.
Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I just wanted just to give some clarity to the conversation that Paul and I had, because we were just talking about just certain things, and I mentioned to him that I have a friend that lives in Kirkwood, and they do block parties, and I was like, hey, a block party may be interesting. But I also said I don't have the bandwidth to plan a block party, so I was just throwing out ideas, right? That we could think about just just giving that clarity and more so context to that conversation. So I can help to assist it if that is something that CPNA chooses to do. I just don't have the bandwidth to lead, right, the actual organization of it. So I just want to put that out there. Just a thought.
Well, we've had screen on the green, and we could extend it, but we've never tried to serve alcohol. See, and that's what the hang up is. You know, if you do an event in a public space and you serve alcohol, you have to go get a temporary liquor license permit. And that's some of the administrative problems with that. But that's everyone thinking. I mean, we have money for a community celebration in the budget. It was usually screen on the green, but if we have other things like Chan was talking about block party, so yeah, that that sounds good too. So, we have some money for this if you've been wanting to get together for some reason in the name of Chosewood Park, well, we can finance that.
Okay. So there's a question in the chat. What if the event is like bring your own booze, bring your own liquor? Does that change the
Well,
equation, Paul, or is that
I'll have
still
to
the same
check the
rules?
community ether uh, legal system to figure that one out. And of course, you can always sneak stuff in there. When
Okay.
we had some of those fundraisers over at the sandwich place, um, uh, people were drinking beer there, but we didn't have a permit for it. So, you know,
So people brought their own.
they brought their own, but
Right.
like it's sort of like uh, go as far as you dare, but if you step off the cliff, I can't help you.
Okay.
So,
All right. So it sounds like there might be some interest in doing a block party. If you're interested as well, perhaps maybe put something in the chat, and I'll try to remember to bring this up again next month. We can kind of continue this conversation and figure out if we have somebody willing to lead, step up, and kind of help organize that and plan something fun for our community. Even if it's not right now, and the fall time or end of summer, if we kind of plan for next spring, that'd be fun as well. So, all right, great conversation. Any other questions for Paul or CDC before we move on to the Transportation Committee? All right, I don't see any hands raised or nobody came off of mute, so we're going to move on to Transportation. We have Miss Julie here with us today. Julie, the
Hi.
floor is yours.
Oh, yay. Well, so I've been working on a long outstanding list of improvements. Ironically, I don't know if it's ironic, but I did go back and find a list that I made from 2020, which has felt good to see some of the things like being able to cross off or at least have answers to some of the questions that I had in regards to traffic circles. But yeah, there's a shared Google document that Ryan and I have kind of started with some projects. If anybody has any outstanding ones or anything that comes to mind, go ahead and put it in the chat. if it's not on the list, I'll go ahead and add it to the list. And that way we can maybe come up with different committees and prioritize what is realistic and what is not. Um, with on that list, I also have some projects from the Urban Tactical Guide of Atlanta. I've reached out to them several times this year to try and get them to speak to in one of our meetings. I haven't heard back, but I will continue being the squeaky wheel on that. Other than that, it's kind of like mundane BS, to be honest. Trying to make it safe for people to walk and not get attacked by kudzu, and that's all. What's up, Paul?
Could I speak up?
Well, I raised my hand.
Paul raised his hand, Suzanne. I gotta
Sorry,
let
I don't
him
know
do
how to do
that.
it. That's fine. I'll wait.
All right, Paul, you can go first, and then we'll switch over to Suzanne when you're done. Go for it, Paul.
Julie, what group were you saying that you get ideas from?
Well, there is a program through the city of Atlanta. It's called Urban Tactical Program. They've changed their name, so if I get it wrong verbatim,
Well,
I'll apologize. But I'll go ahead and put a link in that in the chat. Ultimately, what they do is they offer programs. So, like, we need restriping pretty much all throughout the neighborhood. One of the ways in my head, in order to get like cars to slow down without like major improvements, like the painting of the crosswalks are one thing. So we have a lot of legacy residents that stand at these bus stops that are in the blazing hot sun. This program has like bus stop enhancement so they can have like shade. That's another thing. We already have the walk lane that goes to the park off of Nolan. Another, like just ways to kind of beautify the neighborhood, get some art incorporated. They have, programs that will allow us to like paint them. Again, to me, like if you have a visual, maybe people will automatically slow down instead of just flying through, and it keeps our kids safe between the or people in general between the park and the belt line. There's so much, and the way our population has grown in this neighborhood, there's so many more people that, although I'm okay with the wild wild west on some facet, like I still think about, like, I've almost gotten hit by cars. My house is right here on Hill Street. If someone loses control or a kid's riding their bike and they fall, like it's an ugly accident, but it's ugly. So but let me find that program and I'll put that link here in the chat in a second. I just had it. So but yeah, I'm
you know,
surprised. Look, Paul.
well, I've been talking about um, the CIE project where sort of like infrastructure issues can be handled if you make a proper presentation, and it comes out of the developer fees, and for instance the although it's not funded, the roundabout at uh, Milton and Lakewood Avenue is already on there, but but it's not funded, and it just seems like some of the things you talk about are really, you know,
Well, a lot of these aren't necessarily like funded, but they do go ahead and like kind of give you, like, you can work through the city to get permission, and then some of these grants and these monies that we have to spend, like we buy the paint and find the artist to do the crosswalk, but they approve it is kind of how it works. And I see y'all's notes. And Paul, I put a link for their presentation in the chat, and that can help give you some ideas. And if anybody else wants to go through it, there's some really wonderful programs. Those were reading through it. I just picked ones that were the most, not the easiest, but I'm a baby step kind of person when it comes to dealing with infrastructure. But I'm all about having to create the proper presentation. I think that's the idea behind the spreadsheet, is to kind of get a list, prioritize, and then start knocking some of these things off one proper presentation at a time. So maybe once we get to that point, um, you can help like guide us, Paul, through that. The CIE, is that what you said?
yeah, the CIE. I've brought it up a few times. I tried to get the sidewalks in that, but that is an option, and I'll try to give you the contact person, because what's going to happen is they're gathering up these ideas, and then they're going to actually decide upon them in December, you see. So what
Yeah.
we can all do is think of some of these capital projects. I mean, it's not the art project that Julie was talking about, but say, basically sidewalks is the thing everyone complains about. Is your sidewalk up to
Yeah.
standard?
I mean, no, I have like on the list, there's a lot of sidewalk improvements. And one of the things that I would love to see that we don't have is to be able to have congruent sidewalks from our neighborhood to like the elementary school. Like I feel like if you're living in this neighborhood and your school's a mile away and the kids have to walk to school, there's not a safe route. And that makes me sad. Um, because it should, you're south of 20, not, where we come from and where we're at now are two different places. And we still need to think about the residents, like Suzanne was talking about, like not everybody can afford a car. So to get these kids to school, they should be able to safely walk, without being able to walk on a sidewalk that our tax dollars pay for. So
Well,
there's a lot on that list. I can go through it if you want real quick, but I don't want to waste anybody's time,
well, I'll
or I can
definitely go
send it
on.
to you separately.
One thing I think about, and I know you want, is the traffic calming on uh, Hill and Milton. And when I think about it, I think the best example that's appropriate for us is what's on Cherokee Avenue, right in front of the zoo. And and they have each intersection, they have the lights, and they don't have a radical hump. You, it's easy to cruise over it. And
Yeah,
I brought this up last time, and Jacob jumped on and said, "Well, we can't do that until um, the public works goes away." Well, it's going away, so we ought to.
that's on the list. I have traffic calming on the list. I know in my dream world, I would love to see traffic circles incorporated. I don't know. Um, because like that's a harder one, but that might be where you can help us, Paul, with the contact of seeing what we can get done, what modifications we can make, what changes and things along those lines. Because traffic calm, no matter what happens in our neighborhood, we're initially a neighborhood of 2,500 people that is now coming into maybe 10,000 residents. And if all those people have cars, that's a lot more cars. And we have to get our, I mean, right now already, like if you go to Milton and to get to hit towards Hank Aaron, like the traffic is already backed up almost to Lakewood at the right time or the wrong time in the morning. So, to me, getting these things flowing and fluid so people aren't just sitting in traffic, there's so many ways of doing it besides stoplights and stop signs. Um, I would love to start incorporating some of these in to our neighborhood. It hasn't been that easy. But I'm all for it. So let's keep going.
Wanted to turn it over to Suzanne. Suzanne,
Sorry,
did you have a question
Suzanne.
or comment?
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for the work that you do. And as always, Paul, thank you for all the research you do. You must spend at least 60 hours a week on this, more than most of us would want to do. So we thank you, or I thank you. Here's what I wanted to point out. Everybody in this neighborhood needs to have a car basically to go to work or take the bus. But if you have a car to go to work, the streets are very bad. And if you have, let's say, a not new car, it's going to ruin your car. I know somebody right now who's lost her car for 3 weeks and has to take an Uber to the shop where she works as a florist. And that's a really difficult thing for everybody, but especially people who don't have a lot of cash income hanging around to repair a car. So to that point, we were promised by developers and the city that as soon as the major work was completed, that they would fix some of the roads. So one of them, it's really bad and it really hurts everybody's car, new or not, is at the corner of Englewood and Hill. That thing is outrageous. And that developer is finishing up. They need to fix it as they promised. The other thing is they promised us when most of the work would be completed that they would fix between Englewood and the Beltline. they fixed Grant Park. They were sure to fix that, but they haven't fixed us because they, for whatever reason, they think they can get away with not fixing, or they say, oh, we're still constructing. I mean, they're going to be constructing for the next 5 years. That's not fair to people whose car gets damaged. We have as much of, we should be considered and respected as much as any other neighborhood, especially those that are well off. I mean, we should spread the joy a bit more than they are, and they should fix those roads for all of us. That's my comment.
Suzanne, I do remember, and I see it firsthand, the intersection at Englewood and Hill, and so that is on the list, so I have not forgotten about that issue. So just so you know, that is on that list.
Thank you.
Maybe we can try and prioritize it, and I'll get with Ryan. Maybe he has a contact for one of the developers, and that will help push that, prioritize that one and push it through a little bit quicker.
Great.
I think that's Toll Brothers. Is that Toll Brothers across the street? Right
No,
there?
it's Skylark or something.
Oh.
They're the ones that built that.
Okay.
Yeah, Stanley Martin, I believe.
Stanley Martin.
Mhm.
So many of them. That's right. Toll Brothers are off of McDonough.
Okay, so to provide a little more information here, I've been working with Caitlin Schroeder. She's from ATL DOT. They're working on a citywide transportation plan. So, Julie and myself, and obviously everyone on this call, we're working on just getting a unified list of all the things we'd like fixed, right? When it comes to traffic, whether that be implementing some kind of different road control, whether that be fixing sidewalks, anything in that realm. So here's kind of an example of what something like this would look like. Again, this is just an example, right? We have the category where it's located. We're trying to put all this together, get points of contact. That way we can be organized when we go to the city, and we're not just kind of spouting off sentence fragments with smiles. We want to make sure we're going in there. And also let's, kind of prioritize some of these things as well. Are they critical? Are they essential? Are they just nice to have? I'd love to get your input for this. So, there's some things that, Julie, myself are going to think of, but really I want to hear from you. So I can't make this writable to the whole world, to you, because if I do for you, everybody can write to this or edit this. So I can give you a view only copy. And if you want a copy to be able to add, this is just a fake one. Julie's kind of working on the more official list. This is just kind of an example. But the goal here is to, turn this into something like a presentation where we can go to the city and say, hey, we're Chosewood Park. Here's a little bit about what we look like. Here's, our priorities. Here are some things that we think should be done. So we can go, make a little project presentation file where we can go to the city and actually get some things moving, and then sort of track those efforts as well with points of contact where we can reach out to those individuals and have them come and give us presentations as well on how we're doing with some of these things. So talking with Caitlin, the ATL Citywide Transportation Plan is going to be they're starting to meet this fall. So the idea would be to have all this together within the next 45, 60 days. That way I can work with Caitlin as well as the rest of you to be able to get some of these things moving over the course of the next year. Yeah, thank you, Chan. I can actually give you, if you give me your email, I can give you a writable copy too if you want to edit it. I just can't make it world writable because then everybody can write to it, right? Kim Jong-il, anybody can edit it, right? So if you want to send me your email in a private chat, I'm happy to give you a version you can edit and add to, for sure. Or you're more than welcome to email Julie and myself. Our contact information is on here. So Julie's is at the bottom and mine is right here. As well as you can include Jacob, and then of course you're more than welcome to include Paul as well. Ms. Chen, you had a question or comment?
Oh yeah, I put my email in the chat. Is it not showing up?
No, it is perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
I
awesome.
absolutely see
Okay.
it. Yep. I'll
Awesome.
give you I'll give you an emoji. I'll give you a smile emoji. I see it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Yep, you're fine. I've just got a lot of windows, so I have to do the chat plus I have a lot to monitor, but I did see yours come up, so thank you. Perfect. All right, any more comments around transportation?
No, or the only thing the one I just started adding on to that link you sent me, so I don't know. We can talk about it afterwards. So I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
I added probably 10 or 15 more items to that.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Miss Julie. All right, we're going to move on to Friends of Chosewood Park. Is there anyone here from Friends of Chosewood Park? I believe Taryn's out on maternity leave, so I think she's not here this time, and she wasn't here in July. So we'll try to get them back when Taryn returns. Um, I know Patrick just spoke to us last week, so we got a pretty solid update there. Okay, moving on to our next item. So this is going to be a matter of voting. So let me just go ahead and read because we do have some kind of guidelines as far as who's allowed to vote. So first of all, you have to be over 18. You do have to be a resident of Chosewood Park, a property owner, or a business. You have to have attended at least 3 meetings on the last 12-month period. If you have multiple people in with you in your single Zoom instance, for example, like Laura, I know you have 2 people there with you. If you can just like chat me your vote, that would be helpful. You can send me a private chat using the chat feature. So one of you can answer the poll because I'm going to put up a poll, and then the other one can just chat me the vote. Okay, let's do it kind of like that. So for our next presentation, we have a letter of support for 140 Milton. So I want to kind of show you where that is real quick. So here's Milton Avenue and here's the Beltline. And I know our presenter is going to have a map as well. So but I would want to give you kind of some context as to where this is. It's sort of this area right here. Okay, right up against the Beltline on Milton Avenue.
It's not up against the belt line.
Okay, so we'll have our presenter go ahead and do you have some slides to share, Cassius, or?
So I'm on my phone. Unfortunately, my computer is for some reason not acting right, and that's why I jumped on my phone. It's open. I can send you at least some renderings that you can pull up, and then it's just a matter of talking through a few things.
Okay, great. Did you want? I have your your SAP. Do you want me to bring up the SAP instead?
That's fine. Sure.
Okay, okay. And just to kind of prep everybody, so the vote here is going to be about a letter of support. Okay, so it's up to us as the community to determine, is this a development we want to provide a letter of support for, up to the MPU to then go on from there. So that's kind of what we're going to be voting on. So just to prime you as you're listening. So you did say to bring up the SAP, Cassius, is that right?
Yeah, sure. And I won't go through every line item or anything like that, but because I know this was presented some time ago when Inland had the project, but sure, go ahead and bring it up and then I'll talk through some of the changes.
Great, thank you. I can scroll to wherever you want, or there's a.
Let's see here. Unfortunately, let me put on my glasses again. So,
Sure.
So I didn't prepare this, but and I wouldn't really worry about it. Let me just jump into it. So, first of all, my name is Cassius Coleman. I'm a developer. I have been for about 15 years. I'm a CPA by trade. Do market rate, mixed use, affordable, also retail centers as well. This project came to me about 2 years ago. Inland, who started this project out of Chicago, the founder passed away, and the family decided to sell all of their assets in this market, which was really only 2 assets. They had another project out off of Memorial Drive, which was an operating asset. And then this was an asset that they had gone through all the pre-development. They were actually in permitting, and they just pulled the plug on everything. Fast forward, I went to the Beltline. I said, look, would you be interested in this project? The plans are done. LDP was ready. It's shovel ready today. If you go in and buy the land, I'll develop the project. And they said, sure. So that happened probably about 3 months ago. We closed on the land with Inland, all the plans. We started looking at the plans. Unfortunately, they were not adequate as far as we were concerned. There were 91 studios, 90 one-bedroom. I want to say another 20. Yeah, I'll say 22 two-bedrooms, and it just didn't work. The economics, because you had too many studios and too many one-bedrooms, which basically your revenue will not allow you to meet your debt service. It just didn't work. As everyone is aware, the economics of most deals do not work today, primarily because of cost. interest rates. The 10-year Treasury is pretty much driving mortgage rates way up. So what's going on in the marketplace from a development standpoint, and especially operating assets right now, they're struggling primarily because the vacancy rates have gone up. The apartment owners basically are having to jump through hoops just to keep tenants in because the rents are not affordable, which led us to how we want to develop this particular project, which is using the low-income housing tax credit program, which is revenue bonds from Invest Atlanta. And we're asking for $19 million from Invest Atlanta because they get their own allocation from the state and the feds. So they're able to issue their own revenue bonds along with the state. They called for 228 units. I wasn't aware that they had presented less to you guys before, is what I understand. But we are back down to 200 units, by the way. It will not exceed 200 units. The Beltline is looking at the parcel next to 140 Milton, which does abut the Beltline. The owners of that land are, the price is a little high right now, but if they're successful, that will be the retail for this particular project. We do not have retail in this particular design at the moment, but the Beltline is working on that as we speak. They hope to get the owners to agree to a price here soon. Currently, we're scheduled to present, I believe, in September to Invest Atlanta, which getting a letter of support from the neighborhood is a part of the package. And that's why I came here today to present this new project, if you will, because it is a little different from the unit count, at least the one that they had in permitting, and then also the way it's being financed. To do a market rate deal, to be quite frank, anywhere right now is a challenge. The equity is just not there. Cost are prohibitive from a yield perspective from any investor. So they're really the only way to get these deals done is to go through the tax credit program. Now, the challenge there is the rents are still, they call them affordable, but I can challenge that. I mean, a 1-bedroom is still $1,400, a 2-bedroom is $1,680, and a 3-bedroom is $1,900. The reason those numbers are so high at a 60% AMI is because the city of Atlanta's AMI is high. So therefore, that 60% is being driven by really high incomes, really is making the affordable product not as affordable as it used to be. So you're still talking about, what I consider a very decent rent that someone has to pay to live in a LIHTC project. So that's one of the challenges that the city has. The mayor, as everyone knows, has been pushing, more workforce, more affordable, because your market rents are just not affordable. And I don't want to get personal. My daughter goes to Spelman. She's rooming with someone in a 2-bedroom. It's $3,000 a month. I mean, that's ridiculous. So it's a challenge, but this is the closest we can get to getting more units into the market, because you don't have to worry about the institutional investors, private investors, because your equity is coming from the state and the city. So we're really excited about this project. I just sent a rendering to Ryan, I believe. There you go. And the timing on this would be, the applications are due to DCA in September. They make their announcements on the awards like February, March of next year. So we're still talking about, year and a half before you even put a shovel in the ground. Now, because we have plans already, it may come sooner unless we totally flip these out for something different. This is podium parked, 200 units, 200 parking spaces, all the amenities. It's just like a market rate deal because you have to still provide the same level of amenities if you were doing a market rate project. trying to think anything else I can mention to you guys. I think that's about it, but I'll take any questions that anyone has.
let's see.
Paul, do you have a question?
Yes.
Awesome. Go for it.
I'm the MPY chairman, so this was really the letter's really supposed to come from me. But I definitely wanted Chosewood Park to voice their concerns, or because it's that's where it's located, and it'll have a lot to do with how the MPU uh, looks at this project. One question, I so any documentation you're sending to Ryan, you need to be sending to me, because actually I'm the one supposed to write a letter of support. This is just a preliminary, so I can get a handle on how the MPU should look at this. Now, one thing that concerns me is, and I think I see it in this rendering, but as you know, this project sits at the edge of Milton Avenue and is built on a hill. And there are no sidewalks in that portion of Milton Avenue that your project is going to abut. So I just want to know what plans you're specifically doing to address that.
Yes, the plan, they would not let us build this without sidewalks, and the Beltline is involved. I have another project on the Beltline on Marietta Boulevard and Elaine. So they will actually extend the Beltline down Milton and from the path that's to the parcel that's adjacent. So there will be sidewalks for sure. Now I know how far are they going to take those sidewalks? I'm not sure, but I know directly in front of the project we have to do curb and gutter. So I just don't know how far they're going to take it. We can find that out.
The real concern is Milton Avenue is lacking sidewalks. Okay.
Yes,
and
I agree.
You definitely have to have them on Milton Avenue. Where your project meets the street.
Yes, I agree.
Looks like maybe a difficult thing because it's a hill. That's not really. It looks like it looks like your plan is to build a wall. Is that correct?
There are retaining walls at the rear of the project. Yes.
No. So how are you going to interact with B&L?
Is that the I guess the car?
Yeah, that place.
Well, I mean, it's not a whole lot we can do. That's private property. We're building a retaining wall back there, because it is an eyesore.
So you have to screen yourself from it, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And through the SAP process, that's one of the questions that came up. From my understanding, I wasn't a part of that process. Even DCA, before they approve a project like this, because they're very sensitive to undesirable neighbors, and I'm not saying that's what it is, but it is an eyesore.
Yeah, they used to have a City of Atlanta contract to tow cars, and but I don't know if they still have it. But
okay,
that's one reason it's there. Well, any aid that any opportunities that you see that you could say this is so much of a problem they ought to move, would appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, you got my vote, because it does take away from the value of the project, to be quite frank.
Okay, well, I see Jacob's on there, so.
Mr. Jacob Mills, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I guess a comment and a question. So, a lot of changes in the neighborhood over the past few years, and just in the past year, our median household income has gone up by almost 19%. Currently, our occupancy level is sitting at about 57% rental rates and 43% ownership. And with, my concern is running up and down Milton Avenue, it's going to kind of turn into an apartment row over there. And my question is, number one, with the AMI that we saw in the SAP, it was showing numbers from 2019, and a lot
Yeah.
has changed since then.
Oh,
And then,
absolutely.
and then my real question is, how come we can't get some commercial space on the bottom floors, especially since you guys are right up on the belt line?
Well, so the Beltline is addressing that, particularly if they can purchase that parcel next to 140 Milton, that solves it all. We really want them to purchase, and they really want to purchase. They're just trying to get there. So the idea is to have that retail, but not at the base of this building, but obviously adjacent to it. And I can just tell you this from experience, it's getting tough on that retail space. A lot of it goes unrented. I have 7,500 square feet in my other Beltline project, and that's in West Midtown. It's the Beltline
I
actually
saw that.
right.
Yeah, I saw that on
It's
your
okay. Yes.
website as I went through. And I
So
noticed that
what
you
we're
guys were
doing,
kind of particularly more geared towards like senior housing and things like that. But the West End project you had on there, the fact that you incorporated the commercial space, that's something that we kind of run into. And I know that the city, you know, when they put these types of opportunity tax zones and put this kind of stuff into place, years and years ago, our neighborhood was an area that was very depressed and needed that
yes.
type of economic incentive for developers to come. Well, where
Mhm.
we're at right now is we've kind of run into that same issue where, like, a good example was the Upton. We pushed and pushed, and we were hoping the Upton was going to do something. And we got very lucky that Atlanta Housing actually did commercial across the street from them. And with where you guys are particularly located, you've already got all those apartments on the other side, which is in Peoplestown, and there's only one coffee shop slash like restaurant that's there. So
Mhm.
with having a few thousand new residents between that location, the other locations we know that are coming up and down Milton, that I know that that's a big concern. Is workforce housing is something we are looking for, I guess, but we also want to be able to have places for folks to work.
Absolutely. And that's why the Beltline is pushing for, I mean, that parcel is actually maybe 1 acre. I think it's almost 4 acres. If they're successful in acquiring that, and they may even overpay from what I'm hearing because they really want it. They also looked at a parcel across the street. There was I don't know if it was a warehouse or some kind of dock or something. They also looked at acquiring that. So they're trying to put absolutely more commercial space in this area because the density has gone up, as you mentioned. And I think they're going to get there.
Yeah, density is going to be a real issue for us. I mean, if we continue on the pace that we're at, we're going to be close to 75 to 80% rental and 25 to 20% ownership, and as far as the neighborhood goes, which is kind of scary from a standpoint of being an owner in the neighborhood.
Understood.
Jacob, any other questions or comments?
No, that was it. My main concern was the commercial space on the bottom floors.
Mhm. Okay. We're going to move on to Miss Laura.
Hey, actually, it's Chris. How are y'all?
Awesome. Hi, Chris.
Hey, I was just wondering, are there any addresses or parcel numbers that you're talking about that are directly next to the development that you're talking about? Just so I have an idea.
When I say it's right next to it's in between the Beltline path and
Yep.
140 Milton. If you brought the map back up, it's easy to identify that
Okay.
parcel, but it's
Is
literally
it
right next to it.
okay? For whatever reason, we can't see the shared screen. It's our fault,
Okay.
not yours.
Okay.
But are they parcels that are like directly fronting the belt line, or are they
Yes.
just okay?
Well,
Got
no,
it.
it's fronting Milton and on the Beltline. So there's a kind of I guess you can call it L shape.
Okay, I know exactly the one you're talking about. Just wanted
Yeah,
to
you
make
see it
sure.
right. Yeah. So it goes there, then it goes down the Beltline. There you go. That's
Okay,
it.
perfect. Thank you.
You got it.
All right. Going to move on to Miss Julie.
Yeah. Chris, I just put a screenshot of the map in the chat if that helps you at all. Um,
Thank
but
you,
also,
Julie.
you're welcome. So, from my understanding where this is at, this is kind of just past Lakewood, where we already have that precarious intersection that's probably half state and city streets. Um, I'm also with Jacob. Like, I am a little hesitant on having like apartment alley, especially with so many more apartment complexes coming into this. I don't know if there's a way, obviously it's a lot to say, but like having some type of ownership in the neighborhood that in people investing in our neighborhood is going to make it better versus all these transient people. And where you start becoming outnumbered, like Jacob says, that it becomes scary for the homeowners. But also, going back to like where this is located, I know you have to do the sidewalks, but if this goes through, there's a lot of traffic improvements that are going to be needed on that street. And are you willing to like work with us? And what projects are you willing to work with us on in order to help make the infrastructure in this section a lot more fluid?
Well, I believe, and I'm not going to speak for the Beltline, because they invested $5 million in purchasing this land, and they are looking to purchase the parcel next door, which is actually more expensive. They, I believe, have the interest and a vested interest in getting the infrastructure up. I saw it with my project at 1283 Marietta Boulevard. If you go over there, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They literally, the sidewalks are going much further than the belt line. So it's not just the belt line. They're making sure the path to get to the belt line is completely paved. So they're going to stretch it out, and I'm not sure how far they're going, but it's a good little ways that they did at 1283 Marietta Boulevard. So because they're investing dollars in this project, and they're looking to purchase additional parcels in this area, one thing they're not going to do is let the projects not have the residents a path to get to the Beltline. That's what it's all about. So they're going to stretch those sidewalks out a pretty good ways. So that's the good news about that. It makes the accessibility to get there much better, and you have more sidewalks as a result of the Beltline investing those dollars in projects like 140 Milton.
Okay. But what about the vehicle traffic? Sorry, I got tongue-tied there.
Mhm.
Because you do have a lot of cars. We already have a backup. You have 200 units proposed. I doubt every single one of those is a one bedroom. I doubt you're planning on having single residents. You only have 200 parking spaces planned. Where are the other cars going to be? What are your ideas of taking those cars from, I imagine Martin is going to be your entrance onto Milton? Like, do you have a plan on that type of infrastructure? The sidewalks, Atlanta is getting with it. I know we still have some like gaps, but that Atlanta is working on. I think the Beltline helps us. The roads is where we really need a lot of help with. And when you bring, the 200 units with 200 parking spaces, but they're going to be double occupied, and then, those people have cars, where are they going to go? And
So the mix for this is 30, 50, 20. Yeah, 30 one bedrooms, 52 bedrooms, and 23 bedrooms. And yes, parking, even, and I hate to keep bringing up another project, it is a premium, to be quite frank. The 1-to-1 ratio that we're doing, and you have 2 and 3 bedrooms, yeah, it could potentially be an issue. And clearly, because we're on the Beltline, there are no parking restrictions, but we really don't care about that. We want to park as many as we can, but this is a podium development, and it's also affordable. You can't you can only spend so much money. So will there be some relief? Maybe if the Beltline purchased the other parcel, potentially. But right now, we are at a 1-to-1 ratio from unit to parking
yeah,
space.
but you not I mean, but you said it, you were, a potential hazard or a problem when we
I
already
didn't say
have,
hazard.
or no, you didn't say
I,
hazard. I said I'll correct myself. Or problem, and we already have a problem because, we did let all these apartments come in when we were a younger neighborhood. We said yes, 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 and now all of a sudden, again, we're not done with building, and your traffic's already backed up. So if it's already a problem, and I understand the situation you're in, but then work with us in the neighborhood to help improve the road infrastructure to help accommodate some of these problems. Like coming in and adding to the problem doesn't help me give you a vote, I guess is what I'm saying. If you want to say, let's work together and figure out what we can, and let me use my, you know, you have these developments, you have these connections, help us create a solution instead of more problems.
right. So the as far as the public streets are concerned, we clearly are trying. If we can get the city to spend money on infrastructure, whether it be traffic lights, all the things that make things flow better, we're going to always advocate for that. Can we force their hand? Not really, but we absolutely, and I'll be honest with you, I did not look at what Inland got approved, and if there was a traffic study done, I didn't see one. So apparently, and I'm just saying apparently, and this is 4 years ago, I believe. So a lot of things have changed. I did not see a traffic study. So I think the one thing that we're going to do is a traffic study because we want to see, what potential issues could come about with 200 units, and then what infrastructure is needed to help relieve that issue. So we'll do our part on that end and advocate for as much investment as we possibly can in the belt line. When you have an active belt line and you have foot traffic, they go and make sure that that infrastructure is in place because they don't want the pedestrians at risk. So I think it's going to come no matter what, primarily because of the building out of that trail. So I think we're going to get what we're looking for, both myself and the neighborhood, just by the mere fact that the Beltline is investing dollars uh, as we speak into the area.
Yeah, but the Beltline also invested dollars over in Inman Park in Old Fourth Ward, and I lived over there before the Beltline, as when they started that. And what they didn't take in consideration is that now people drive there, and then these people who own property, the cars are just renting and they're just parking. And I get all of that. It's a wonderful thing. I use the Beltline all the time. Like, so I'm not, there's no, there's no grief or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, yes, maybe we will ultimately get what we're looking for, but why not be proactive and go for it now? And why not get the developers to work with us to create these systems within the city so we're not having to backtrack and we can just get it done and like no more
Well,
band-aids.
right. So and I hope I didn't come off as if I wouldn't work with you. I mean,
No, I
it's
take
to
it
a
that you would.
developer's benefit as well to make a project more efficient, especially when it comes to traffic and infrastructure, because it increases the value of that project, right? And not devaluing the project by, being in a congested area. So I will absolutely 100% work with you and thank. And the good news, I do have a good relationship with City Hall. I was fortunate enough to go to high school with Andre. I've known him, I won't tell my age, but we're both in our 50s. So the bottom line, there's some influence. I would love to hear from you what you want to see, like specifically what you want to see.
I mean, right now, I would love to see ownership instead of another rental property. I think people who own properties will invest, they'll speak up more. Same people here. I doubt there's anybody here that rents in one of these apartments at this meeting right now. I can guarantee you. We've doubled or tripled um, our population in this neighborhood. How many of you rent in these apartments that show up to the meetings? So I hear you. I believe you that you care and you want the most efficient thing for the neighborhood and for your project. But the reality is you build the project, you collect a check, and then you're done. Like,
That's not
I
true.
mean, not, but to a degree, it is.
No, I got to correct you on that.
Okay.
Got to correct you. By the statute of this project and the bonds that you get, you have to own it for 15 years minimum. So we are very conscious of making sure, because we can't build it and sell it. We have to stay in the community. We have to. So we are very much invested in every community that we go in for that reason. Number one, because we know we're going to be there at a minimum of 15 years. And we normally go back and re-syndicate our tax credits for another 15. We're doing that on Camilton Road right now. So we don't build to sell. So I get it, because you're right. A lot of merchant developers will build it, stabilize it, and sell it. We don't do that. And this is not what this is going to be. So we're very much invested in the community for a long time, and therefore we have a different approach.
Well, as far as suggestions, I will think about suggestions for your project and the infrastructure.
Okay.
I
My email is in the chat, so you can email me anytime, or if you want to jump on a call and speak about it, I'm available.
I'm going to ask you to read the last few comments on this road on Milton about what the
Sure.
other residents think about the traffic.
Sure.
I agree with a traffic study being done. I know we requested one with that last project. It never went through.
Mhm.
And then I'm also going to ask you to take your own time one morning on a weekday at between 7 and 8 and drive from McDonough to Hank Aaron off of Milton. And let me know about your sitting in the traffic experience. And maybe you, with your experience, can help us come up with some solutions for the infrastructure. Because right
Okay.
now, what I'm telling you is that we have a problem because we did
That's
allow
fair.
other apartments. And I get
Understood.
it. I understand growth. I understand we're urban. I love the Beltline. I love all of that. But what I'm not a huge advocate for is this like build and then fix the problems later. Is like we've had an opportunity with this neighborhood time and time again to be proactive. And I'm asking you to help us be proactive and start, to not think about the problem after the fact. We have a problem now. So let's
I
start with the
appreciate that.
study. You drive through
Sure.
it. Let's work together. If you want our support from the neighborhood, there's multiple people telling you we have a problem. So I think for me to support you, I want more of a solution than, just to like, well, we'll fix it eventually. Because
I agree.
So this is
Yeah.
a good point.
Well,
I
yeah.
do want to move
And-
on though, because we have some hands
yeah,
raised.
yeah, I'm done. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good points by everybody. I want to move on to Ms. Chan. Chan Pai, you have the floor.
Hello, thank you. And you answered one of my questions, because one of my questions was going to be if an independent traffic and infrastructure analysis has been conducted, and based on what you said, it has not.
I didn't see it.
And I have a few more questions. The other one is, when you conduct that analysis, will you provide a copy of it to us?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we excuse me. The mere fact that we're asking for public dollars, I can make that available, to the MPU 100%. Yes.
Okay. And also, beyond the development itself, what concrete benefits or improvements are you, right, committing to provide, or, the developers or whomever committed, right, to provide to the neighborhood to kind of offset the impact of this project?
Well, I can't speak to that part of it, but so we have a nonprofit arm which services all of our communities. So whether it's early childhood education, financial literacy, whatever, it is open to the entire neighborhood. So it's called Finding Favor. So we always partner with, a community group to provide any types of services that, that are needed through the nonprofit. We do a really good job with that. We won an award nationally for it because no one else does it, to be quite frank. We do a program in our Gainesville community where we Brunel comes over and helps the seniors, and they open it up to the community. So we always partner with the community to find out what can we do to absolutely help, anybody in the community, not just the people that live in our neighborhood. So we're open to anything. We've given money to the local nonprofits and communities. We just did $50,000 for domestic abuse in a neighborhood that we're building in Hinesville. So, we put our money where our mouth is. So we're open to anything. We did a food pantry down in Jonesboro where we footed the bill for the freezers and everything. So we're not just builders and developers. We're literally trying to make some type of impact in the community, and we just have to assess the needs. And I literally just got this project again about 6 months ago because Inland tried to retrade it on me. So I welcome to come back outside of this to talk about some of the challenges as it relates to the community that, other than the infrastructure, obviously, that our nonprofit can assist with.
Okay. And if the development, if it creates like a greater traffic or safety or parking or neighborhood impact than your projections anticipates, I know there are some anticipated impacts, based on your projections in the SAP. I believe I had this, I wasn't able to read in detail, I skimmed through it. What specific mechanisms will be in place to ensure those problems are addressed, and who would be financially responsible for correcting them?
Well, it depends on the issue, but we are ultimately responsible for anything on the property. Now, things outside of the property, obviously we want to address them, but we're not financially responsible. So, there's a fine line on, who's writing a check when something happens, or who's responsible for fixing something if they broke it, right? Because the Beltline is a partner in this deal, it helps a lot. Their pockets are pretty deep these days. I think it's going to work out well. It's working out well with the other project I'm collaborating with them on in West Midtown. They've shown themselves to be a good partner so far. So, and they do have the resources to address some of the things we're talking about. They actually have infrastructure money. So whatever we think the issues that may derive from this development or that exist before it's built, if I can get them, because you know better than I do, I would love to start marching up that hill with the Beltline right now, as well as the city.
Okay. And last question, promise, Ryan, last question. You've discussed, I know we've talked about some impacts, that the SAP reviews that. And I think you mentioned that there's a 15-year commitment that you all,
Yes.
Am I correct? Yes, a 15-year.
Minimum 15 years, we do have to own and manage the property.
Yeah. So, if the projections prove inaccurate and the impact is greater or different than what's projected. And I know that you're saying that there's the minimum 15-year, commitment you have. Is there a mechanism in place for a continual review, Like, will you be reviewing things annually or biannually just to make sure, to review the impact of it?
We're policed by DCA. They will snatch our developer's license, so to speak, to do these type of properties. Number one, if the property starts going to crap or we're not being compliant. So we are policed for those 15 years by DCA. So we're market rate development. They don't have to answer. We do. So by letting a property, either diminish greatly or not solving some of the problems that they're causing. So we're under constant review by DCA.
And I understand that from a compliance perspective, but my question is more so the projected impact. Like, I understand from a compliance perspective,
the projected impact as it relates to what, traffic or what have we? I mean, there's a lot of different. Maybe you want to call them pain points that you're talking about, and that's what I want to get to, so I can better understand what they are. And as I believe Julie said, there is already a problem. Don't wait until you build to try to solve it. Solve it now. So that's what I need to find out. I don't know what
Okay.
the problems are.
Okay. I'm done, Ryan.
Other than
Thank you.
traffic. Other than traffic. You're welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Chan. All right, we're going to move on to Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, I just suggestion because one of the things that we have dealt with over the past years is so much new growth. We've had traffic studies done. We even had one done back in 2019 at that intersection of Lakewood and Milton. The problem is that the DOT and ATL DOT does not take into consideration future developments. And that's continued to be our problem. We know it's a huge ask for the developer to manipulate their sites to accommodate for larger infrastructure coming in. But what tends to happen is the developer gets approved. Once those cornerstones are put in, we know that we can't do any type of expansions. We're stuck with the roads that we have. And just based on the amount of applications that we've already had that are approved, it's not just your site that's sat like this for years. There's multiple other sites on McDonough and Inglewood and other places. So our neighborhood is going to have a lot of density. And it would be nice to have the developers working together. There's a development right up the street from you that has, I think it's 190 or almost 200 units. They have commercial space on the bottom floor. I'm sure if you've been over there recently, you've seen that construction that's on the other side of the B&L Record Service. So my suggestion would be maybe have a conversation with that developer and see what their thoughts are, because as a neighborhood, it seems, in the past, we've had a hard time getting any real recognition or getting things done with the infrastructure. If it's coming from the developer side, the city, I believe, would have more of an aptitude to work with you because, you have a lot of sway with what you're doing. They want your tax dollars through ad valorem stuff. And then also, there's a lot of impact fees that are associated with these things. So, as
Very
far
much
as
so.
suggestion goes, maybe having the conversation with the developer of the street, see what they're doing, and continuing this conversation with the neighborhood, because this is going to be a serious issue for us as far as mobility, getting around. Parking, off-street parking is already a problem. So we just don't want to continue to add to that.
I hear the repetitive issue. So I'm a slow learner, but I think I got it. Yeah, we need to absolutely talk about the traffic and the infrastructure.
Thank you, Jacob.
And obviously more than talk, but I really am sincere about the fact that the Beltline is involved. I think will help the conversation with the folks that have the budgets to actually address what we're talking about. The Beltline has one and the city has one. Hopefully there's enough influence. And the mere fact that the Beltline is actually talking about doing commercial right next door, I think will absolutely help this quite a bit, because they know it brings pedestrian traffic, and they know they really can't do it in areas without addressing some of the issues that we're talking about.
Let's move on to Mr. Bob Morris.
At the risk of being repetitive, sorry.
Too late.
At the risk of being repetitive, and I'm pretty sure of one thing, you're not a slow learner, sir. But I just want to say one thing, and I really don't want to be repetitive, but it is about the parking. And when you start to do the numbers for 200 units and you start to look at 100 parking spots and you start to think how many of those people in that unit are not working. They have to have a car. You're as well aware as I am that public transportation is virtually non-existent in that area. They have to work. The people that are going to get penalized by this are going to be the residents of the property and the residents of the nearby land where people are trying to park, trying to walk across Milton. We know right now it's going to be a problem. We don't have to think about it. We know it's a problem. The philosophy seems to be, we're going to build you a house, we're going to build you a place to live, but good luck getting to work. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we're 1-to-1, so it's 200 parking spaces, 200 units. Yes, we do want more parking. I was talking to the general contractor summit earlier today as we were talking about this ratio. Um, we're going to look at a cost, and this is just for this development, obviously, of adding one more level of parking to give a little bit more, a higher ratio. Now, there is literally a bus stop. As soon as you walk out of this property, you take 300 steps, there's a bus stop. So there is transit right there. Now, granted, Atlanta Transit isn't the best, but it is there, and you're minutes away from, MARTA station as well. So it's not like it's not, it's not in a horrible area for people to actually take public transportation to work. So there is an alternative here. And by the way, you could never do one of these projects without having it, because that's how you score and that's how you win an award. You got to have food. You can't be in a food desert. You got to have access to transportation, education, so on and so forth. Those are all the things that go into a tax credit application. If you can't check the box on most of those, you're not going to get an award, period, because they're not going to put folks in a place where they can't access food, transportation, education. So fortunately, this area checks all the boxes.
Any follow-up questions, Bob, before we move on to Sean? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to Sean Braxton.
Yes. So I have a concern in regards to when you made mention in regards to thinking and thought of what the Beltline probably would do. Have you had an opportunity to connect with the other developers around the project that you currently are looking to build on?
Rangewater. So I did, I spoke with Rangewater. They have, I forget the name of their property, but it's fairly new. And honestly, the only thing that we spoke about, which kind of gave rise to the type of financing we're doing, is that their vacancy rates are really high. And it's really high in the area. I have a market study, it's a rent study that shows vacancy rates. And believe it or not, the vacancy rates are not where they need to be. They're in the teens. And what happens when you get vacancy rates in the teens, you start to have issues with that property. When I say issues, meaning that whomever the owner is probably going to have problems paying their bills because when you start getting into those low 80s, from an occupancy standpoint, you're going to struggle. And just to be very transparent, a lot of that is going on in the city of Atlanta right now. There are several projects where the owners are turning over the keys. One at Centennial Park, another one on Northside Drive. Those two alone, it's over 600 units where the developer can't keep up. And they're having to turn the keys in to the lender. So there's a issue, and those are market rate deals. And that's the biggest issue, because when rents skyrocketed, they come back down a little. You have a workforce that can't afford it. You're going to either get more people living together or going back with mom and dad, whatever it's going to be, but they're not going to be paying $2,500 and $3,000 for, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. It just doesn't work. So those are the primary issues, and that is what's going on in this area, because there's a lot of density, but unfortunately right now the vacancy rates are up. They're up in the teens right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm aware of the waterfall effect. I'm actually in the real estate
Yep.
market, single family homes,
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
very clear
Okay.
in regards to the vacancy.
Sure.
But in
Understood.
regards to what the current issues that is currently facing, in regards to the speeding down the street, is also mentioned in the chat as well. I'm surprised that they didn't bring that up in regards to collaborating with them, because that's been a challenge ever since they built that community over there. So
Okay.
that's the concern as well. And being 6
It's-
months in the project, you would have already have connected with the city leaders and getting a promise, not something tentative or unsure. So I think that's where my concern is it really just fact finding from what the community is going to push back on, or is it really just coming to what's best for the community here? So I just want to make sure that, everything is being reviewed before the plans are taking place. Because I just feel like we're being reactive, right? We know that there's a issue in regards to the parking, the traffic. That's a reactive statement. So everything is basically being stated that, oh, we'll look into or we'll get feedback or work together on. Working together on it is before the planning takes effect, opposed to the letter being drafted and being approved at this time. So I think that's where my concerns are coming in at.
Yeah, I get it. And yes, so, like I said, my quote unquote, I don't own the property. I got a development agreement with the Beltline, and we're in August. We closed, I think, late May or something like that. So, and to be even more clear, my first inclination was not to do a tax credit deal. It was to stick with the plan in hand until the plan in hand looked really bad. So I am behind the eight ball. I will, fall on the sword for that one. However, we do have a good track record with the city. We've done a lot of these deals. If anybody wants to take a visit over to the Greenbrier, we did almost 500 units on Greenbrier Mall. And you can see the level of development that we're doing. We don't build eyesores, and we manage these properties really well. That does not take away from what you're saying, though. Yes, I do need to get up to snuff on the issues within this corridor as far as the traffic is concerned, as well as the infrastructure, because right now I am hearing this for the first time, and I was surprised to not see a traffic study from inland. I was really surprised. So, yeah, there's a little catch up that I have to do to understand the issues in this area, because this is my first development on this side of town, to be quite frank, because I'm in Vine City. I've been in West Midtown, Southwest Atlanta, but not in this particular area. But this is where I've seen a tremendous lot. I mean, just crazy growth, which is great, but it does come with a little bit of pain, which I'm hearing.
Thank you. I appreciate the transparency on that.
Yes.
Let's move on to Mr. Paul, and just to kind of do a time check, we are at 8:35 mark, so let's be economical with our words. Paul, the floor is yours.
Okay, one thing I wanted to say is the AMI is not based on City of Atlanta income. It's based on a 26 county SMSA. And
Well, it's called the Atlanta MSA is
right.
What it's called, though.
Yeah, but it's a number based on
It
income
says you're
in
showing
those
up as Bob
counties.
Morris with the hand, saying
It's
you couldn't get
just
back on, you're passing it to me.
So the question, it seems what you're revolving to, it sounds like you can't make it unless there is a ever increasing downward spiral of the incomes of the people that you expect to live there.
You said downward?
Yes, a downward spiral, because you're saying that unless we subsidize things, people, the occupancy will go down.
No, no. I mean, the real estate market
that's what you're
is
talking about.
No,
that those north side developments did not rent because their incomes, they didn't seek low income renters as strongly as you're going to seek them here.
Yeah, but so, I mean, I hate to, I'm not going to blame this on anybody, but there are good times and bad times in every market. We're in a bad time in commercial real estate right now, across the board, whether it's single family, multifamily, because we also do single family. We know this. It's driven by things we can't control: costs, interest rates, all of those things that everybody knows about today. So we're not, the AMI which is the Sandy Springs, Atlanta, yes, it encompasses a pretty wide net, but it is high. And therefore, it's driving up what that 60% AMI is, 100%. Now, I don't know if you're looking at it as a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't look at it as a good thing. Personally, I would like to see more people afford an affordable unit. But if you're telling me rent's $1,400 for a 1 bedroom at 60%, that's pretty stout to me. Because you're gonna have, I mean, you got all classes of people that live at properties, and you can't. I get it. We've been, like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been kicked out of city council meetings. I cursed that for even, using the word affordable, because nobody wants it for the most part.
Yeah,
But
do you think
I'll
it's
commit this to you,
possible?
sir. It is not, and I can guarantee you this, it is not what it used to be. It is not what it used to be. I can tell you that because I've been in it, long enough now, and I grew up around it as well. So I know what it looked like then, and I know what it looks like now. And that's why I'm challenging anyone that wants to go over and look at our Greenbrier development. And as the mayor called it, he called it luxury affordable housing, because we do a wonderful job of constructing these projects, maintaining them, because we're going to own them for 15 years and probably 30. So I get the bad name that developers get from some of the things that they do, but we do not fall in that category.
Yes, but has that had any impact on the Greenbrier Mall being renovated and bringing new vendors and retailers to the area? See, that's what the problem is in all this.
No. Density brings, and I know where you're going. I've heard this a million times. It's the renter or whomever is going to dictate what type of retail, and absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Whole Foods is not going to put a Whole Foods in a place where the incomes do not reach what their analysis say. That's not going to happen. But you do attract things that you couldn't get before, because now you have the density. It may not be the highest end of something, but I don't think that's the point. It's having services and making sure they're good services. And to answer a question about Greenbrier Mall, we did buy that property from the owners, and quite frankly, they haven't done a thing. And I'm just being transparent once again. But there is more development happening around the mall if you were to go over there.
Well, this last thing I'll say, I want to get off.
Yes.
It's just that we're going in a downward spiral of what our aspirations and what we thought the Beltline was going to be. It would raise our aspirations. It would bring retail we never had in Chosewood Park, because I lived here when it was very low income, very low home ownership, and we're not going in the path. We went a few steps in that direction, but we're not going there. This whole Milton Avenue corridor is the same product you're presenting here. And as you see, there is no retail. There's no uplift of what our aspirations can be. We're just creating a low income, high social service needs area. And that is
I'm going to
disagree.
I'm going to disagree with you, but that's your opinion. Like I said, I have seen something different. It's mixed income, and I agree with this. Mixed income is the best thing. But what I'm saying to you as well, density also is a big factor in that. And
density without income is not what we want. Just putting a lot of people in one place does not do it. I'm looking at Greenbrier Mall. Is anything you've done there changed the prospects of that? Not today. Maybe in some fantastical future which you have in your mind.
Yeah, we just opened last year, so we have to give it time. So,
all right, we're going to go ahead and move on just for the sake of time. Bob, we're going to move on to you.
I just have one last comment. Sorry, we got two phones going here.
Yes.
But just one last comment on, and sorry, it goes to the vacancy rate.
Yes, sir.
And my thinking is this, I'm not the economist here nor the CPA, but it would seem to me that with vacancy rates what they are, if I'm a person and I'm looking for an apartment, I'm going to choose an apartment where I can park. If there's an apartment complex that has a parking
Always.
shortage and it's going to make it a challenge for me, I'm going to go somewhere else. So I think the market may soon have a voice in how much parking is actually necessary. I'll turn to the next person.
It always
Sorry,
does.
this is Suzanne. I'm just jumping on him because I couldn't get into. To the parking, where you said, and sir, thank you for taking our questions because it's not easy to be answering for the city, for previous mistakes the city has made, for all developers. So thank you for listening for us because I respect that and thank you. Public transportation is not good enough in this area.
Oh, I agree.
Parking still is important because guess what? There's not enough retail or jobs or manufacturing in this area for people to take public transportation to wherever there is a job because it's not here. So obviously people, low-income people, as well as other income people, need to drive to get to a job. By
100%.
not recognizing that and giving the city, oh, we have public transportation, people can walk, they want walkable neighborhoods. Yeah, walkable neighborhoods are people who can really afford to drive to an expensive job and then have their home life walkable. They're not walking to a job.
Nope.
They're not
You're right.
trying to hold down a job. And if we deprive those people of a way to earn their living, we are discriminating. Just as we are discriminating by oversupplying low income or affordable housing without jobs, without the way to get to a job with enough parking, for those people who actually are now trying to save, to buy a house, to build generational wealth. The reason a lot of people are not, how should I say, are not diverse and having as much generational wealth because they have not had the same opportunity owning their own homes, family homes that they can pass on. So we have to balance that. We have to balance how we help people build generational wealth so they can get onto their way. And we also have to build so they can get in, but they have the opportunity to work and to save.
And
That's what, and I don't see Buckhead taking that share of it. And I don't see Inman Park or Fourth Ward. I don't see them being forced by the city to shoulder that. We are all responsible for that as citizens of this city. And everybody, especially the planning, young people coming out of school. I know the ideals. We all want walkable neighborhoods, but please, let's give everybody the means to be able to live in one and own a house and build a future by having good jobs that they can get to. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And our goal is not to house people. That's number one. And that's why our nonprofit is attached to every community for financial literacy, all those things to give people tools. We'd rather you in and out as quick as you can, because if you have that long-term mentality, it's just going to, it's failure. I hate to call it that, but if that's the mentality, and that's why we have the nonprofit, you can look it up, Find in Favor. That's what we do for different communities, figure out, there are staple programs that we do on the financial literacy and some of the other stuff, but then we find out in the neighborhood, what is what's missing? Is it after school care? Can we support a program? So yeah, I get it. We're not in the business of warehousing people. We already know this. There are more people who can't afford a place to live that can. So unfortunately, we're going to have this, and it's a cycle. Some people get out of it, and some people don't. And but we think we're doing at least our part to at least try to help to get out of it. And I I don't know how else to defend that, but you're correct. It is a challenge. It's a huge challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. So we're going to move on. Bob or Suzanne, any more comments or questions before we move on to Ms. Valencia?
None for us, thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Ms. Valencia.
Mr. Chair, at the appropriate time, I would like to make a motion to table this vote on this letter of support.
Okay. We have a motion to table the vote. Do I hear a second on that?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if we are able to table it. I think we would be better off making a judgment on one way or another with it.
Okay. So in other words, have it today or not. So I guess my question is, we basically, this is going in front of the MPU, correct? In a week.
Correct. And so we should have Miss Valencia change the motion if she would, to either for a letter of support or for a letter of denial, would, I guess, be the proper language for it, because we can't delay it. We do need to get something to the MPU level.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll withdraw my my motion.
Okay. Motion withdrawn.
Motion is withdrawn.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Valencia. Okay, Julie, final comments from you.
Really quick questions have you ever done a project that was ownership based versus just apartments? This is for Cassius.
Oh, yes. I'm actually doing 45 townhomes on Cascade Road.
Okay, so based off of what you've heard tonight, and I know on your level it's going to take a lot of planning and money and et cetera, and it's business, so you don't really want to spend unnecessary money. But the neighborhood doesn't really want another apartment complex, at least from my opinion, seemingly. Would you consider turning this project into maybe if you want to help people, maybe allow them to buy affordable housing? Give them that pride, teach them what it's like to own a property. I mean, you have an opportunity to go one direction or the other. You have developments that are apartments. Why not go the other route?
So remember, the Beltline owns this deal. They gave me a development agreement. So this is kind of their, how can I say this? They tell me what to do in this particular juncture. Now a for sale product, the only for sale product that will work on 2.84 acres are townhomes, and not a lot of them. I mean, you're not going to get many. That's number one. And they've already paid, $5 million for this land. So I'm with you, and I know where you're coming from. But I'm not in position to tell them what they. I can always make a suggestion, but it's going to be a upside down situation like nobody's business, because they've already paid almost $5 million in change for this. So this and to be quite frank, I don't think this particular land, at least I would not, because of how it is and how it's shaped, all of that, you're not going to get enough density out of a single family type of development, because you don't have enough acreage. And then the topo is extremely challenging, because you have to do retaining walls on this property to make it work. It would be a nightmare just on this property. But I know where you're going. But I hate to say it like I'm about to say it, the genie is already out the bottle, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're coming to us for a vote that it doesn't really seem much matters, to be honest.
I'm gonna say I disagree, but I know why you said that, because the zoning is in place, everything is in place, so you can say go pound sand, we could still move forward. I would hate for it to be that way, and that's why I'm hoping to convince you that we're not going to be a merchant developer, build it, leave the neighborhood, and be damned. Because we do bring more than just the development. We do bring other services to the neighborhood, because we are long-term owners. So,
I I'm not going to like continue this conversation much longer because I know everybody probably wants to go and they for the
Yep.
night. But I have to tell you, for I don't know how many years I've been coming to these meetings, and every single developer has said the same exact thing you have.
Which is what?
That, we're in it for the long game. It's the same. And I get it. This is
Yeah,
your
we are. I mean,
but it's a business. It's a business. You are in a business. And
of
part of you
course.
don't have businesses that lose money. So I get it. It's not personal. It's not a you. It's not, it
No,
could
I
be,
get it. No, I hear you. And by the way, just so you're clear, and these developments, and this, it's a you get a developer fee, but guess what you don't get? You very seldom in tax credit deals as developers are those 15 years, it's pretty thin. It's really tight. That's why you have to manage extremely well because they front load you with a developer fee. But for 15 years, your cash flow is like, a little bit above break even. So trust me when I tell you, you're not breaking the bank with a LIHTC deal. The market rate deals, yes, that's why they build them,
no,
stabilize,
but
sell,
it
make a
gives
hell
you
of a
a
profit, and keep
portfolio to
going.
continue doing the projects that do line the pocketbooks. So I get it. I get it. I do 100% understand it. I'm just letting you know, I'm not like, I don't think anybody here is ignorant to that either. So it is what it is. But sometimes you just got to speak your mind. Anyways, I'm done. Everybody, do we have to
Okay.
make a motion to vote? I will make a motion to vote.
Okay, I hear a motion to vote. Can I get somebody to second that?
Who are you voting
There
on?
it has to be a specific motion, guys. A
Okay.
motion for approval or a motion for denial.
All right. So,
Oh, one or the other. Sorry.
okay, so I think the motion should be to endorse a letter of support for 140 Milton Avenue to be developed in accordance with the special administrative permit 22-037, the one that we've been looking at. So the motion is for that letter of support to either approve, deny, or abstain from the vote.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, so that's the motion. Let me repeat it again. So the motion is endorse a letter of support for 140 Milton Avenue to be developed in accordance with the SAP 22-037. So approve means you approve of that letter of endorsement for Mr. Cassius Coleman. Deny means you deny that letter of support for Mr. Cassius Coleman and this project. There's also an abstain as well. Okay, so I'm gonna. Any questions about the voting and what it means? I don't see any hands raised. Nobody's unmuting themselves, so I'm going to assume everything's okay. Also, please, if you have more than one person in your Zoom chat, if you could please chat me your vote. All right, I'm going to launch the poll. Okay, I've gotten 14 votes so far. And we have 21 participants. Okay, I'm going to leave it open for another few seconds. Okay, I'm about to end the poll. Okay, I've got some votes coming in on chat. Let me look at those real quick. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to tally the votes. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, so the The motion was endorse a letter of support for 140 Milton Avenue to be developed in accordance with SAP 22 TAC 037. The motion does not carry. Deny had 12 votes. Approve had 2 votes. Abstain had 3 votes. Okay, so the motion does not carry for the letter of approval. All right.
Uh,
Paul,
Ryan,
Paul, did you have a question?
yeah, well, we're going to present your vote at the meeting. So can you put in some type of form the reasons for the denial in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll take a summary of what we discussed here today and put that into a letter. Thank you, Paul. Absolutely.
And Mr. Coleman, you'll be probably before us next week.
On the 18th, right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're basically going to use the dialogue here as a
Mm-hmm.
starting point, so we don't spend a lot of time talking about it,
Sure. Sure.
you know. And so it's going to be 5 minutes discussion, okay?
Okay.
Because
Great.
here's where we're going to have the extended one, but the MP got more stuff to study to talk about, so we
I
can't
got
spend all day talking about it. So,
understood. Well, I appreciate, the time to meet everyone and I understand, um, you know, where people fall on this. So, but anyway, thank you again.
Mr. Coleman, thank you so much for
I
being
also want
here.
to apologize for being a little bit harsh on you, but I've been here 40 years. And I've heard the same story.
Oh, I know. I get it. And I don't take it personal. I get it.
Yeah,
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Coleman, we really appreciate you being here. You really took some punches and you answered so gracefully. You answered very transparently. We really appreciate your candor and being here. It was actually a great experience. We learned a ton, and I think you did too. So really
I
appreciate
did.
you joining.
I really appreciate it because I definitely had no intimate knowledge of any issues, that the neighborhood had, and this helps a lot. So
Yeah, we're helped too by knowing you. So thank you so much for being with us
absolutely.
this evening.
Thank you
Thank you,
again.
sir.
Have a good evening.
Thank
You
you, you
got
too.
it. Bye-bye.
Okay, y'all. Well, we're approaching 9 o'clock, so let's wrap up these last few items pretty quickly. We don't have any finished business, no new business. So closing comments. We do have some bricks for sale. Jacob, did we want to go over this?
Sure, Mr. Chair. I think that if anybody's interested in purchasing these bricks, as Paul had mentioned earlier, Patrick's going to start moving forward. There's multiple locations for these. So literally putting your name in stone, stays in the park forever. You can go on to the Chosewood Park website page and click the link there. I don't have the QR code in front of me, but I will put that up on the social media page. And the bricks are $125. And like I said, they will be installed at, we have multiple locations. So right now, Patrick was talking specifically about the Galt Street entrance and possibly around the Unity Bridge entrance as far as placement.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. And this will be something that we'll talk about in future meetings as well. So thank you, Jacob. Okay, our last item for closing statements was 1351 Boulevard, which is in the Empire or Zephyr area. They've submitted an SAP to continue filling out the land or property that they own. This is not a voting matter for us. This is just informational. This has been approved. So I have both of these documents for you. They are links here. So if you have a copy of this agenda, you can use these links and you can access them. If you don't have them, just put a note in the chat. I know our chat's getting pretty long tonight, but maybe actually send me a private message with your information and I can email these to you or email you the links so you can take a look at them. Because it's a little late, I won't take time to go over them tonight, even though I do have them up here. Okay. All right. Just a reminder, we do have our MPU general body meeting. So it's next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So Mr. Coleman will be there. If you did not get enough of Mr. Coleman and you want round two, he's going to be there at 7 p.m. With the illustrious Paul McMurray as well. All right. And there's a link so you can join that. I just want to open it up to the group. Any closing announcements, community questions, any concerns that anyone has that they want to bring up?
I do.
Yeah. Mr.
So there's now this huge concert hall on Milton Avenue Southeast. And I know a couple of people knew that something might happen there and kind of hoped that it didn't and whatever. But I am interested to know what some people's thoughts are on this. Right now, if you were to drive down that street, and I recommend anybody do just to check it out, you're going to see 100 cars parked illegally on it. It's pretty crazy. It's loud. It's something that I think we probably might want to keep an eye on if we're concerned about, sound like we were concerned about traffic a moment ago, but crime or any of that kind of thing. Anyways.
Would you mind repeating the address? It was 259 Milton, is that correct?
Yeah, 259 Milton Avenue Southeast.
Gotcha.
It's the Milton Mercantile Building. It's now officially, you can now see on the internet all over the place. It's officially a concert hall. And right now they have a rapper that started like at 8 something and it was sold out according to hip hop news sites. It was sold out with 1,500 people.
Gotcha.
I don't think that venue holds 1,500 people. That's kind of wild, Sean.
Oh, so the venue place, there's another website where it's just the venue people talking about their site, the location, and they say 1,500 too. And then Sean Braxton sent me a hip hop news article saying that the 1,500 venue site has been sold out, and that's today. And apparently it's been going, something's been happening there for a couple days, but I think this is the first official day. And next door, which used to be like the old rap studio, right? It's kind of empty a lot. I do remember those people saying that they were going to turn that mercantile building into a concert hall. So that was about a year ago, and it looks like that is what's happening. That happened, actually. So I don't know. I just think it might be something we might want to keep our radar on, but I'm definitely interested to know what other people think about it before I kind of decide my thoughts on it.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Any comments from the group?
Yeah, just to throw this out there. I mean, I guess, Sean, the best advice would be is if you see something, say something. Security is always an issue with concert halls and things like that. And with the entrance for their parking as the one location on Milton, selling out 1,500 tickets, that's going to be an issue, like what we were just talking about for the past 45 minutes with Mr. Cassius, and transportation and parking and those types of things. So, I don't
You
know
gotta
if there's
check it.
somebody.
You gotta check it out. Like just drive down that right now. It's crazy.
Are you saying that the actual event's going on tonight, Sean?
Right now, yeah. Huge line going way back into that other building parking lot and just like a couple hundred people there. I mean, just from a picture that Sean Braxton did. But I mean, the line might have been pretty ridiculous. But it's going on right now. And when I drove here from work maybe an hour ago, an hour and a half ago, I mean, it was kind of crazy. The cars just lined down the street. So if you remember, Jim pushed for those bicycle lanes back in the day. I think that was before it came about. So there's bicycle lanes on both sides of that road. You can't have a car, if maybe if you park far enough onto the grass, but if you can't have a car inside the bargain, inside those bicycle lanes, it's actually bigger than a no parking violation. And there was the old rap studio. They tried to have like some kind of party, and there was someone on the street that called the police. And like I mentioned in the chat, the police brought 3 tow trucks and towed these cars that weren't moving in time on Milton Avenue Southeast. You can't park there. It's a huge violation.
Yeah, and B&L Record Service is right down the street, along with ATO. So
they don't have to go far. So, anyways, my big thing to bring this up now is I'm really curious on everyone's thoughts on it. And also, I mean, with everything that people talk about in these meetings, this might be one to keep an eye on what's going on over there.
Are they selling alcohol?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would think that they probably are.
They would need a temporary liquor license for every event if that was the case. If they're it's there's specific rules for it, but that's a good question, Paul, because if they are selling alcohol without a temporary liquor license, that's a problem.
Noise ordinance?
Not late enough.
Business license? I'm sure they may not even have one.
Yeah, how does that work if that like if this is a legit venue now, are they supposed to come to the neighborhood and get approval? Especially if there was liquor to be sold? Does anybody
They
know?
have liquor license, they sure are.
I think
Yeah,
they tried to
and
do that with Jacob, but Jacob said no. I think is what happened. That was like a year ago. Is that right?
that
Something
was
like that.
yeah. They came to us a year ago and they were asking us to help them, and we told them no. That then the neighborhood wouldn't support it, and then that was the last we heard of it.
There is a way to throw an event. Yeah, you have to get a temporary, or you can do a membership or a donation. And if you're not actually selling the alcohol and you do it by donation, then there's loopholes through that one. Just,
I have a question. So this is Valencia.
Mhm.
So on Milton Avenue, because the only Milton Avenue I know of is right off of uh I guess that is Milton Avenue. Right off of Hill and McDonald Boulevard, where the old elementary school used to be. Is that the Milton Avenue you talking about?
Yeah, yeah. You gotta. Somebody's gotta just drive down. If you got extra time, go check out Milton Avenue Southeast right now. It's crazy.
I'll take my electric bike over there
You,
for you, Sean, and
let's
take
go.
some pictures.
Tyler, the creator. Yeah.
I
I'll
would, I
say
would,
it's, I've lived on Milton Avenue right across from this this property we're talking about for 8 or 9 years, maybe going on 10 now. And yeah, it's probably the most amount of cars I've seen here. And it really reminds me of when there used to be kind of late night club things going on the other side of Milton Avenue years ago, and the amount of cars. And those did end up leading to gunfire and things like that in the long run. So, I mean, it's right across the street from my house. So, Jacob, if you want to come check it out, come on over. It's a wild block party right now.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the same thing because I'm right there in between you and Sean. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. This is a school night for our kids as well for the street, and directly in front of our driveways. So it's the difference if it was probably out the way a little bit, but it even cascades all the way down. And the line was all the way at that old cab place. They were like literally wrapped around all the way there, just waiting to be able to get into the facility. And just to be clear, it's 15,000 square feet. So it can hold up to actually more than 1,500 people, but it depends on what it was zoned for specifically for that event. So I don't know that, but what I will say is we have to be cautious and understand how this even happened. Because before doing an event for weddings and things of that nature is different, is what is explained for. But a concert hall on this type of street is definitely not something that the community can accommodate, especially with what they're trying to do. If you were to drive down the street, you will really see the concern and the issues that this does pose to the families across the street.
We addressed that with them, Sean, when they came to us last year and told them specifically that it's not exactly an ideal location for a concert venue. I'll definitely come down and snap some photos and take some pictures for tonight, and do a little bit more research regarding. Honestly, I might even try to go in and see because um, the fire marshal specifically gives them their occupancy level, and that's based on the egress that they have for emergency escapes. And it also comes down to the amount of bathrooms that you have. So there's very specific things. It's not just based on the square footage of the building. you have to have certain things in place in order to be able to have an occupancy level of 1,500. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, great
I don't,
conversation. Thank you for bringing it up, Sean. Any more comments on this one? Any more thoughts?
One thing, Commander Wilfolk will be probably at the MQI meeting. So if y'all want to come and talk to him directly about it, but I'll see if we can't get something going with the commander. He was at the MQI uh, night out, and you could have walked up and talked to him face to face. So I'll see what I can do about that since I can he sort of recognized me, and especially he's friends with Gloria, and we can maybe get to him straight up.
Thank you, Paul. Jacob, you have your hand raised.
I didn't realize I did, but I did just want to say that I know that we beat up Cassius tonight, and he was kind of taking the brunt of a lot of the other developments. But I think it's good that the neighborhood is standing together and bringing up these issues. When I looked at that SAP, there was a lot of things that concerned me, and I hate to see the neighborhood go in the opposite direction of where we could be going. We've got a lot of new good developments that are coming in. Our area median income is completely changed just from when they did the numbers in 2025 to 2026, where we are now 8 months into our third quarter here. So, and it's going to continue to change. So having the voice about the infrastructure is something that we really, really want to continue to push. I know that we're going to have a hard time stopping developers from coming in because of the opportunity tax zone, because of the things that the city's put in place. It's such a desirable location, just being so close to the Beltline. But without the infrastructure and you build this, I mean, how does anyone expect us to be able to get around? So that's going to be a reoccurring theme. And so rather than kind of being so negative with them, maybe we have the conversation of, hey, is it possible to go back to your drawing board? And we know it might cost you money, but this is how you increase your occupancy levels and things like that, is by making accessibility part of the development as compared to just saying, hey, let's pass the buck off to the Beltline and let them deal with it, or we'll wait and see what the future development comes from the city and stuff. So that was just my 2 cents with that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Julie, the floor is yours.
I gotta unmute. Oh, I'm unmuted. One question in regards to the event. Since they have to apply through the city to do all this, is there a way to see if what permit is? A lot of their stuff is online. That's to that. Um, and yes, I didn't mean to give Cassius such a hard time. I think years of meetings and hearing the same thing from developers, it gets exhausting. And so there is a little bit of like reading through it. But my main question was really to see if there's just an online record of this event and you can answer some of these questions that were being asked. That's all.
Meaning the event tonight, like what we just did?
That's Tyler the Creator. No, the Tyler the Creator event that's on Milton Street right now.
Oh, okay, got it. That event.
A lot of that
Got it.
stuff is online, but I don't know if I didn't see it on the website, so I don't know.
Can you not? Is that not? Are the temporary building permit or temporary permits and things? Is that all part of a CELA?
I don't know. There's a outdoor events Mo's master calendar. Like I just did a Google search. It says pending outdoor event permits, including date, time, location, event, contact information. But it doesn't say special events. But there's nothing on the calendar for tonight for that space anyway. So I don't know. I don't know. I didn't go too deep.
Just out of curiosity, Julie, do you know what the noise ordinance is as far as decibel levels or as far as time of those decibel levels?
Uh, I feel like I want to say 150, but that's going off of memory from an email many moons back. I think 10 during the week, 11 on weekends. So they're within the noise ordinance. In regards to the traffic, there's an email address that you could probably contact that will set from Atlanta Parking, ATL Park or whatever it's called, that will come out pretty immediately for the most part and start ticketing, maybe towing, but this, I don't know. But yeah, to answer, I don't have that much information. And again, it's a venue, it's a commercial space. We don't have the parking. You just, it feels, I don't know, it becomes somewhat hypocritical to some degree, but I also don't know, like, we're all different. I like Tyler, the creator. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
I think the biggest issue is they can't claim to have a 1,500 person event space when they don't have parking for but maybe 100 cars.
Yeah, I think that, I
Like
mean,
that's the
there's,
biggest issue with me. I
yeah,
don't like I'm fine with it as long as they stay within the ordinances and they're not, it's not super loud past 11 o'clock when the kind of the quiet hours
yeah.
are. But like they're parked all on the street. I
Yeah,
don't
they have
park on the street.
to have
So
parking because I know even
yeah.
with film, when we get our special permits, like
Yep.
we have to allocate all of our parking. Everything has to be mapped out ahead of time. Like that is one thing the city is very particular on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we just use this particular event for the test run. I'll definitely go over and check it out on the electric bike tonight, and based on what the hours are too, we'll see what it looks like at 9 o'clock and what it looks like at 11 or midnight type thing.
All right. Any final comments, announcements, concerns, questions?
Ryan, thanks for all your patience and help in helping us keep this motley crew together.
No, you're
Also,
good.
my son wanted to tell everybody hello. I didn't let him chime in the middle of Cassie's.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're coming up on 9:20. By the way, this is going to be posted to YouTube later on this week. So if you want to, I know we talked about a lot. So if you just need a refresher, you can certainly look at it on YouTube to get kind of a refresher from that. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and motion that we adjourn. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Second.
All right. Lots of seconds there. Thanks for that. All right, everybody. So we are officially dismissed. Everybody have a great evening. Thanks for attending.